Hello subscribers, myself Pavan and you are watching Optimistic Coder. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of these tutorials.
Hello guys, in today's video we will be discussing about primitive data types in Java, where I will be explaining you all the concepts that you need to know about primitive data types. So watch this video till the end. Okay, so before getting into primitive data types, let's first understand what is variables and data types in brief. So variables is used to store some data. For example, if you consider an empty box as a variable, then you can store something in it and you just place a sticker or label on it with the same name so that you can easily identify what's in that box in later point of time when you are trying to find that particular item. The same goes with variables also. And data types are used for proper memory management. So what does that mean? It means when you are trying to store some data, it totally depends upon the size and the type you will be selecting a particular data type. So, for example, if you are trying to store a small ring inside a big box, it doesn't make a sense. So, instead of that, you can actually store a small ring in a small box so that we could say that it is not wasting your space. So instead of storing a small data in such a data type which is providing you a huge space will be not that efficient. So when we are clear with variables and data types, let's get back to primitive data types. So in primitive data types, we have two divisions. One is Boolean and numeric, where Boolean is going to provide Boolean data type and numeric is further classified into character and integral, where character is going to give you char as a data type and integral is going to further divide into integer and floating point, where integer is going to provide you byte, short, int and long, whereas floating points are going to provide you double and float, where integer is the basic integer values will be supported by all these data types, whereas floating points are the values, the decimal values, which will be supported by double and float. So these all are the different data types that we have in Java. Now let's try it in Eclipse. So I have already created a project named as primitive data types, and within that I have created datatypes.java file. So if you don't know how to create a project in Eclipse, you can go and check out my video in the description. Link will be given, or you can check out in the I button. So let's start with the first data type, that is Boolean. So Boolean data type is basically used for flag raise or any kind of conditional statements where you want to check whether it is true or false. So let's declare a variable b and you can store any Boolean value true or false. So Boolean is going to have by default one bit of space, and if you try to print, I'm using here a shortcut SYSO and hold control and space, it will give you the suggestions. Hit enter, it will write the statement system.out.print, so you need not to write again and again. So b has, so here I'm actually writing whatever in double quotes, it will be taken as a string, and I'm concatenating that by writing a plus sign, and then I'm giving the variable b. So if I run this program, you can find b has true. Okay, so that's for Boolean, and let's move on to the next data type, that is byte. So byte is going to have a 1 byte space, and the range is 120 minus 128 to 127. So let's declare byte. Let's see how to declare byte. Byte equals to, you can store any numeric value which is coming in the range of 127 to minus 128. So if I need to see, or if I need to find the maximum range, you can actually write byte is a class dot, you can go with here in the suggestions you can see max value. So if you save that and if you run it, you will find that it is giving you 127 as the maximum value. So how? If you hold control and hover your mouse over this byte word, you can see it becomes like a hyperlink. Just click on it, it will take you to byte.class file. Okay, so in this byte.class file you can see we have min value and max value variables already declared in this byte class. So from here it is actually getting the values. So that's the way how we can find the maximum and minimum value. When write for minimum, just need to write here min, just save it, and if you run, you can see it's showing you minus 128. So let's move to the next character data type, that is char. If I write ch, and if you want to store any character, then you need to give it in single quotes, and I'm storing here capital A, and it is done. So if I try to print this variable ch, it will easily print A. So if you try to store a numeric value like 70, it will not show an error and it will actually store it. But when you try to print, it will not print 70. Instead, it will print the ASCII value of 70, that is capital F. So character is having a 2 bytes of size, and it is going to use the ASCII value if you use any numeric number like 70 or any other. So it will actually give you the ASCII value for that particular numeric number. So that's all about char. Now let's move on to short. So in short, if you want to assign a value, you can assign. So now if I'm able to assign 10 in byte, then what is the need of short? So as you can see, short is having 2 bytes of space, whereas byte is having just 1 byte of space. So because of that, the range changes. So the range of short is approx 32,000 to minus 32,000, and range of byte is just 127 to minus 128. So if you are going beyond the range of byte, you can use short, and if you are using a small value like 10 or 5, then you can basically go with byte also. So in the same case also in short, if you want to get the maximum range, just write short dot max value, and if you try to print, it will give you the maximum value, that is 32,767. So that's for short. And if you see the same with int also, so int I equals to 10, so it is also able to store, but you can see the difference in the size. The size is 4 bytes and range is very big. So instead of using int, we can use here byte because to store 10. So in the real-time scenario, you can find if you are using a small value to store, if you are using a small value to store in int, it will actually waste your space, right? So instead of that, you can use byte or short if your data is not that big. So in this int, if we try to declare, for example, max value, and within this, if I write here as integer, the same as we did in the byte and short also, integer dot max value, I can actually get the max value, and I will just actually store it in max value variable that I have declared. Now if I try to add, I try to create a new max variable, and now I will be just adding max value plus 1. What's your answer? Pause the video and comment below. Okay, so I think that you have thought of some answer and you have commented below. So let's try to print the answer. If I print the new max value, it will actually print something like this. Okay, it's not here, it is not like, it will not print like this, it will print actually a negative value. So it's not going to add one value. So why it is happening? Because integer range is given, so the range is from negative to this positive, so this range to this range. So when you exceed this, it actually starts from the initial range, so it doesn't go beyond that. Okay, so that is the reason why we get this kind of output. So it is in a range, so it's in a range of this negative to that positive, and if you go to the extreme end of positive and you try to add one more, it will come to back to the other end. So that's the reason why we get this kind of answer. Okay, so for the long, it has 8 byte of size, it's very big, 8 byte, and the range is very huge, and you can actually add suffix as capital L or small letter L to the value. For example, if I declare long L equals to some value, and if I try store it, it will tell you that no, it is a kind of int type, it is out of range. You just need to mention that it is of long data type, so it will not show any kind of error. Okay, if you save and run, so it will show you the output as the value that we have stored. So it will understand whether it is a long or not. You just need to give a prefix as capital L or suffix as capital L or small. Okay, so for floating point variables, we can just see that we have two data types, that is float and double, where float is going to have a size of 4 bytes, whereas double is going to have a size of 8 bytes. And the range is from for float is something like this, and for double is something like this. And you need to actually give a suffix of capital F or small f for float, and capital D and small d for double. So actually double is double having a double precision, whereas float is just having a single precision. So let's understand. So let's declare a float f equals to 3.14, and if you try to store a decimal value, it will show you that no, it's a double type, and change it. So you just need not to change it to double type, you just need to give as suffix as f, so it will understand that this particular decimal value is actually a float value. So if I try to print here pi value 22 divided by 7, and if I mention here like f, so it will actually give me the precision of float. Now I will do the same thing for double also. Okay, and when I run this program, you can see the float value is able to give me 6 value precision, whereas double is going to give me more than double. So the precision is more for double. So let's see how to declare double also. So you need not to give suffix value for double, it is actually by default it is taking, or else you can also give d as for double. So that's all in today's video. In the next video we will be covering the topic data operators in Java.